Welcome to part two. We're going to be joined by Terry shortly. Women loving, men want to be in. I'm just putting an invitation out to Lou Dover. You might have seen him in comment section. He comments on every single video, every single day. I think he's one of the members as well. It's called Lou Dover. He's been critical about one of my commission lads, Anthony. So the offer's open to you, Lou. As I said in part one, come and join us. We're not prejudiced here. We have all creeds and colours and whatever people on here. You can be a banker, you can be a bin man. Everybody's welcome. All right. So come and join us, Lou. Come and join the commission. All right. Terry should be on in a second. Some good points made by Terry regarding Anthony Joshua. Personally, I think he's a big shithouse myself. Never rated him. When he got filled in by Andy Ruiz, he had to scrape me off at the ceiling. I was buzzing that much. But what was sad to see is people sending the condolences to Anthony Joshua, people in the industry. And especially when some of these people, I got to know what they really felt about that fight. And then they were going the other way. I'm not going to mention any names, Terry, but I've just been telling fans while you've been pouring yourself a cup of tea or whatever that when Ruiz beat Joshua, I were one of them people that were buzzing off it. And I know a lot of other people that were buzzing off it, but they actually went on social media and sent the commiserations to AJ and that. And the point I'm trying to get across to people is this. In boxing, they come with smiles and then they stick the knife in your back, don't they, pal?
Yeah, yeah. You know, I always say this: the friends you make in boxing are always on the way up, never once you get there. And I advise young fighters this all the time. Your real people in boxing are the guys that you came up with, the guys you went to shows with, the guys that you sat and had, your crisps and sandwich with on a Friday night in a TA center somewhere waiting for your fight. They're your mates. Like once you get to that TV level, everyone just sees you as a cash cow. Like you're literally just fleshy pawns getting played in this big game of chess. I see it all the time. Like you got to think, young kid I used to train, Porky, Alois Jr., right? Great kid, special kid, really, really good talent. Right now, remember, like all set to have his debut at York Hall, and his manager. I'm not saying the manager's a good or a bad guy, but the manager goes,
Yeah.
"Look, we'll bring his debut forward, Frank, because you've had a dropout in your show." And they put him in there. And when I found this out, I said, "Look, guys, don't do this because you're basically selling this guy's O for $4,000, and he's too special for that." And boxing politics was what it was, and so the poor kid had to go through that on his debut, which isn't the debut you want. And luckily, like, he's come back and he's proved that he's resilient. But that's how boxing works, mate. Like loads of stuff happens that shouldn't happen. Not all of it's shady. Some of it is just people acting in their own self-interests, right? And so when you're in boxing, you got to act in your own self-interest at all times. Like don't be more loyal to someone than you need to.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that are a bit naive. I mean, look at me when I first started with Dennis, how naive I was. I remember speaking to Jane Couch, and she soon wised me up. And I can assure you, within a month, I'd really wisened up that I didn't feel that I could trust anybody that I was ever speaking to on the telephone in boxing or even in meetings. I always felt that everybody had ulterior motives, from the very beginning, mainly regarding money and how they're going to be paid. And, the eye opener for me when I started with Big Ron was the pullouts in fight week. We all know why that is, don't we, Terry?
Yeah, people ain't selling those tickets.
Yeah, yeah. And the pull and I used to say, how come we're putting press releases out for saying so and so's got an injury when he hadn't? Well, we just say he's not done tickets and you don't lose. And so whenever I see press releases now for so and so's got an injury, I always swear I don't believe it. Can people I don't want people to sympathise with me, but I want people to understand that boxing's like that. People don't want to lose face, so they have to come out with this injury stuff. And we know ourselves that it's a lot and it's rubbish, don't we? But I'm always called a conspiracy theory. Even with Dylan White's hand injury, I said, "Nah, I'm not believing that. I don't believe it because it battle hardens you, doesn't it, Terry? I'm trying. Can you explain that a bit better than I have?
See, the thing that makes it hard for you, Russ, is you're a guy that's on like 100% honesty mode all the time. So like you're always going to be honest and you're always going to say what you think. And the problem is the whole world doesn't work that way, right?
Yeah.
So that's when you start getting annoyed and frustrated. Like when you learn with boxing that no one is ever honest, it's a lot easier to do deals because you just look at what's in the contract. That's what I tell people. Just look at what's in the contract. Don't worry about what he said in a phone call. Don't worry about what you shook hands on. Just look at what's in the contract and you'll know what you're getting. And how can I put it? I get why you get frustrated
Oh,
sometimes,
totally
Russ.
right.
Yeah, I get why you get frustrated because a lot of times you're trying to do the best thing for the fighters. You're trying to get fighters paid. And you and I've talked about this behind the scenes a lot, where I say to you, the easier you make it for fighters to earn, the less likely they are to fight and the less likely they are to take on hard fights. So you have to balance it between them getting paid well when they deliver for the fans versus them just nicking a living. And a lot of boxers have nicked a living for a long time. Like, look how many times you've seen people come into boxing, Russ, and within a year, they're out of boxing again because people just basically pull their pants down, and then say, look, if you let us fight this guy, then we'll fight this other guy next. And then you let them fight that guy, they come back again and go, nah, he's still not ready. Remember didn't they try and do that with Kevin Aguiarco and Eddie Hearn, where they were like, we need a couple of warm-up fights. And Hearn was like, what do you mean warm-up fights? You're a professional boxer. You should be ready to go. Why aren't you ready to go? And then Hearn was like, no, go and work somewhere else. And then Aguiarco ended up in the wilderness for a bit.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I remember that actually. Eddie's had that with Phil, hasn't he? And like I remember when they had Eubank and Eubank were like talking warm-up fights, and Eddie were like, "Well, you shouldn't be taking 10, 11 months out and then saying you want a warm-up fight." Do you know what I mean? When you've got a high ranking and stuff, because all that lobbying were done for him. And then he'd have like timeouts, Eubank, wouldn't he, and not fight. And I think even they'd had enough of him, didn't they? Really, in the end.
Mate, you're spot on. You're spot on. And this is a bit that fans don't get to see. Like there's loads of shenanigans that people will do to get out of certain fights where they're like, yeah, he's done his hamstring. Yeah. And they know that the other guy's got to fight for the money. So they know the guy's going to move on anyway. So they're like, yeah, okay, we got out of that one. And it's annoying. And that's why a lot of your favorite fights don't happen. People always talk about, so and so scared. Boxers aren't scared. I promise you. Think about this, right? Your whole development in boxing is you getting beaten up by bigger, better, and faster people, right? That's how you learn in boxing. So why would I then be scared at the top level of fighting someone who's meant to be better than me? I've done it my whole life.
Yeah.
So why would I be scared? It's not. There are people behind the scenes who are literally treating boxers like human pawns, and they're going, "Where can I get the most money for the person I represent?" And that's what they do.
Well, that's what's been going on since time begun with boxing, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it's not good, mate.
Not good at all, is it?
Nah, I hate it.
I just wonder if it'll get easier for matchmakers because they're the ones that I always look at on boxing. I want to see who's matching who and how they're working. And there's a couple of good ones out there, but I think they're struggling at the moment to make good fights, especially on small hall.
People don't want to work. Like some do. Like if you look at the kid Robbie Chapman. Robbie Chapman's a journeyman, right? Robbie's on 70 fights now. Right? Robbie fought. He fights every 2 weeks, pretty much. Sometimes every week, depending on how he feels. Right? And I'm like, fair's fair. Like, and he does it because he loves fighting. He doesn't want to sell tickets. He just wants to jump in the ring and fight. He loves it. And he's 70 fights in. Who knows how much he's earned, but he's earned more than a lot of prospects because he just stays busy. So if you want to work, you can work. And when you're hearing people say they can't get fights or whatever, they can. Some people need to accept that they're not the A side.
What
That's
do
the thing.
you, yeah, what do you think, Terry, about when you've got kids with records of like 1 and 67? You know, I'm not going to say which show they're on because they're all struggling small. But when you've got a guy who's got one win in 67 and it's just over 4 rounds on points, he's not you're not a boxer, are you? If you've had 68 fights and won one, do you see where I'm coming from?
I think you really are a boxer if you've had
Yeah.
68 fights. Yeah, because if you're not a boxer, your body isn't taking that. So a lot of those guys, so look, I'll take Robbie Chapman as an example, right? Robbie's lost a lot more than he's won.
Yeah.
But if Robbie decides to turn it up on some of these prospects, he'll stop him, right? So normally what happens in the fight, Russ, is there'll come a point where the journeyman will look and go, how easy do you want to make this for yourself?
Yeah.
They will just say, how easy do you want to make this for yourself? You start going crazy on the journeyman, you get that shot to the ribs, and that will calm you down. Like you see, once you know it happens, you can tell exactly when it's happening in a fight because you'll see the prospect going a bit crazy. He gets one uppercut to the jaw, and then he just calms down, boxes his way to a 40-36 win. Those guys with 68 losses know exactly how to control what happens in the ring, Russ, because they need to work again next week. They're not trying to get stopped.
Yeah. Move around, man, I call them. You know, Elvis Doobs, Willie Warburtons.
The thing is, well, I don't even know if it's just move around. They'll give you what you want. So if you want to test the prospect, so sometimes the promoter goes, look, I need to find out if this kid's any good or not. And so they'll turn it up, right? They'll turn it up to like 6 or 7. And then it's like, I need this prospect to lose. Like he's shafted me on tickets. We need to just deal with him. And then they turn it all the way up and they stop the kid. Those guys can do anything they want.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, he saved a few of Dennis's shows, Willie Warburton, as last minute replacement. These move around men, they turn up, pick the 2.5 grand up, they pull up in the Range Rover, they've got jobs in day, and they box 3 or 4 times a month. They're not stupid, are they?
Exactly.
They're probably on more money than Olympians, you know, we're turning pro.
Yeah. And like these
Okay.
guys, right? And what I love about these guys, and people don't know this, there's no training camp. There's no nothing, right? They just train when they can. You know what I mean? They train when they can, where they can, and as long as they keep themselves fit. So I think Robbie's still running sub 40-minute 10Ks, like just does it out the box. So he stays fit, stays ready, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And there's a good living there. If you can do that and do your 4 rounders and 6 rounders, there's a good living for you.
Because they're only doing the road work, aren't they, before they go do the jobs, and then it's just a odd bit of, you know, a bag work at night, and that. They're just ticking over all year round, these guys, because they're working it day. I mean, you know the story, but because you know Clinton, I remember Clinton telling this story to me on camera. He couldn't work it out, Clinton Woods, why people are strutting around, going on about I need sponsors, this and that. Clinton says, I'd run in the morning, then I'd go plaster all day and then spar at night or do strength and conditioning. He says, wouldn't that be like a normal man anyway? He says, so why would I want to give me a job up? He never got a sponsor, Clinton, till he were British Commonwealth and European champion and number 1 rank for Roy Jones belt. That's the first time he packs plastering in, you know? So you can hold a job down, can't you, and still stay fit?
People have made it overly scientific, mate. Like I was watching the Ward Calzaghe interview, and you know when you look at where Joe trained, right?
I went
And you
by there
go,
the other day. I've been by there the other day. Yeah, I was looking at that little. I've never been one for going around Wales, but the like. Well, it's still hills. You know, you seen it in on videos I sent you.
yeah, savage.
Well, and that's why it's cleverly we're a good runner. Joe Calzaghe, they were all fit at that. Enzo Calzaghe had them fit as butcher's dogs, didn't he? Because he used to
Yeah,
run them up and down hills, didn't he? And you can see why they didn't want to train anywhere else because it's all there for you in Wales, isn't it? It's a beautiful country as well.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Imagine doing that in the winter, though, Russ.
Oh, some of them roads, I'm telling you, you won't be able to get down there. But yeah, the Kawasaki didn't. He went into all them Vegas camps and Tenerife and all this. He just did it from home, didn't he? I mean, did you see that thing on telly the other day when he said, "What you have for your breakfast?" I just got up. I had two slices of toast with marmalade and a cup of tea. Then I'd do my run. He said, "That was it." He says, "No scientific or anything." Do you know what I mean?
Boxing, yeah,
Potatoes and chicken and all that, and none of this trying to gain an edge. You know?
like boxing's that odd sport, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
the guys from yesterday could box today. It's not like football. I don't think the old footballers could play in the modern era, but I think the boxers from the 80s or the 70s could box in this era.
Well, it's because
Like,
it's printing, isn't it? Do you know football, Premier League footballers now, they're all 11-second plus, aren't they? You know, for 100 metres, they're all quick men, aren't they?
yeah,
You know, you get Teddy Sheringham, 14-second man. Well, Kenny Dalglish, what could they do? They have the first 2 yards are in their head, aren't they? I always just have this argument with Kevin all the time because I say Dalglish, I don't think think he'd be the same player, but Kevin knows his football. He's like Kenny Dalglish could own his own in any era. But he went a quick play, was but he didn't need to because they just got the ball and get it to Ian Rush, didn't he? You know, kind of
yeah.
did.
Some guys just play two touch.
Yeah, well, I've listened to them. Let me tell you a little story. This is a true story. Bremner, Billy Bremner, obviously he was buried in my village where I'm from. He used to go have a knockabout, right, on car park at Bellevue Rovers ground. We all young YTS lads and stuff like that.
Yeah,
He'd get out in his Nissan Silvia after he'd been on sauce the night before. He'd have shoes on, just slip on shoes, pair of Farrers, take his camel hair coat off, little Billy, and he would absolutely terrorise all of them with just ball control. You see where I'm coming from? And they reckon he could have held his own in any era. Billy Bremner, Leeds and Scotland captain. But could you
but think about
imagine?
this though, Russ.
Eh?
Like all the stuff you'd have to relearn though, right?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah,
Whereas boxing, you wouldn't have to relearn. It's like a jab's a jab, a backhand's a backhand. You could just jump into this era
yeah.
and have a few rounds.
I watched Maradona other night on YouTube. We always have debates about this up at Factory. Kevin always says, look at Maradona there playing on them fields there. They want like bowling greens like they've got today. And today they can't tackle from behind, can they? But in them days, they just used
Mm.
to just hack into you, didn't they?
Oh man, they hammered you.
Do you know what I mean? They'd hack into you. But he said, look at Maradona. He says he's like a one-off. But he'd hold his own in any era, wouldn't he? Oh,
Skill wise, yeah.
yeah.
But would there be a position for him? Would he get the same service? Would he be allowed to be the main man in a team? I don't know. Because
Mm,
we're in the system era of football now, aren't we?
yeah.
Like when I first started watching football, it was like the meathead era. You know, your John Fashionu's, Duncan Ferguson's, all those sorts of guys, right? You know, big tough guys who could play a bit. And then we moved into that kind of the baller era where you had JJ Okocha, you had your Ronaldinho's,
He was
where
skillful, wasn't he? Him, JJ Okocha.
yeah, you got guys who could really ball. And now we're kind of in the system era where everything's like an equation, isn't it? Like you got to pass left 3 times, right 4 times, pass up, pass down, and then put one through the middle. Do you know what I mean? And is it as enjoyable as it was before? I'm sounding old and I say it's not, but it isn't as enjoyable, is it?
Yeah. No, it ain't. But JJ Okocha, you know why they called him JJ?
I don't know.
They were that good they named him twice.
Go on, Russ. There
That's
you
what Big
go.
Sam used to tell my mate Ian Snowden.
Big Sam.
Big Sam, do you know why I don't like that? Big Sam Allardyce? Because every time there's a team in Premier League in trouble at Christmas, they're always talking about parachuting him in. He's parachuted in more times than James Bond, hasn't he?
Go on, Forky. Get in there, mate.
Parachute Big Sam in with his big team. They all need paying, don't they, when they get sacked? Here, Sam, here's 2.5 years' wage to get gone, and all your backroom staff that same people greasing same palms, rinsing the same chairmans for years. I have a big problem with that because, like I said, every Christmas, whoever's in trouble, the newspaper talk, the pals in the papers, yeah, they all put his name out, don't they? Or who's that other one? The other saviour, you Stuart Pearce, talking about going into trenches and wars and All this rubbish. What's he ever won? A bit like Gareth Southgate. What has he ever won? We've knighted him, haven't we? He never won out. He never won out for England, never won out at club level, did he?
He might have won a League Cup or something. Sure, Villa must have won something.
He might have won a League Cup as a player when I think Dean Saunders played up front. That he won in '94 or something. He won League Cup as a player,
Yeah.
but he never won out as a manager. You know, what's Big Sam ever done? You know, kept Bolton up. What about it? But lining his pockets at the same time. The same old people. And it's getting like that in boxing. This is why, it frustrates me, sport, Terry, at times. You know, we need to start looking a bit further afield than the Big Sam Allardyce, digging Big Sam up, working on reputation alone as being this saviour guy. All a load of old pony macaroni. That's what this is. Okay, do you want to go on to part three? We're going to rip it up on part three.
No, I mean, let's do that.
Let's do that. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. We'll see you on part three in a minute. Me and my good friend Terry Chappendama. I think I've known Terry about 9 years now. 9 years. I've known Big Ron 10 years. I've known him 9. Interesting. Terry from Zimbabwe, a banker, coming to England via Sheffield Uni. Good on you, kid. Take some doing that. Booyaka.